Hey, everybody, glad to be with you again. And today's topic is how to get coaching clients for your business. This is an important topic for a coach, I would think, David.
You
Kind of
can't
hard to be
set me
coach
up with
about
a
clients.
you can't set me up with a joke. Then I just start laughing. Yeah, yeah. If you're going to be a coach, well, put it this way: how many coaches do you know that have no people that they're coaching?
Well, there's too many to be comfortable with. Yeah.
Well, then you're really not a coach, are you? If you're a coach is only a
You're an
coach
aspiring
because
coach, but you're
you're
not.
aspiring coach.
Yeah.
That's probably a better way. But yeah, you if you don't have clients that you're working with, then you're really not a coach.
Hmm.
You're just dreaming about being a coach.
Hmm.
And so this is it. And and this is what we see all the time. And being a coach is an amazing thing. It's one of my favorite things to do in life. Sitting down, working with people, spending time talking to them, getting to know them, helping them solve their problems. And when you help someone solve a problem, and when you help someone literally change their life for the better,
Hmm.
so that they are now moving in a much better direction, that they've solved a major issue, they're achieving the things they want, their life is getting better day by day.
Hmm.
There's no feeling in the world like that.
Right.
To know deep down in the core of your soul, I made a big difference in that person's life.
Right.
I 100% did. And there's no replacing that. But, most people, when they get started out, is they go out and they find people that they know and they network with people and they do that. And that's great. That can be a great way to get started. But eventually, your little network starts to hit the end.
Right.
No one knows unlimited people.
Yeah.
And unless you're one of those intense networkers that is constantly knocking on doors and constantly doing that, eventually you're going to have an issue where you're going to run
Yeah.
out of people. And there's only so many people in your pond, so to speak, that you can
Yeah.
fish for. I mean, that there's no
Well, I
other
was gonna say
people.
not everybody in your network is
Right?
your ideal client anyway. And
Right.
that makes, so you're only looking for a percentage within your relational connections already.
Correct. So you have all that. So what we're going to be talking about today is how do we consistently do this?
Yeah.
Because again, being a coach is one of the best things you can do with your life, in my opinion. Being able to
Mhm.
make that kind of a difference in people's lives, being able to do work that's that rewarding and that valuable, and to be able to get paid nicely for it, man, I mean, it's hard to beat this. It really
Yeah.
is. It's really hard to beat this kind of a life. So how do we do this? How do we get people to join us in our business? How do we act? Because to do it, we got to have a steady flow of clients coming in.
Right.
Because even when you get a client, sometimes you help them for a season and then
Yeah.
they move on. And so you got to get another client to kind of keep
Yep.
the game going, to replace them. So one of the things we're going to talk about 5 steps today to kind of work through to get through this process so that you can have a consistent stream of clients. Number one is you got to have a really clear understanding of the problem that you're solving,
Yeah.
and of the problem that your ideal client is facing. Like, why are they stuck? Like,
Hmm.
what is it that's their problem? And you got to be very specific on that, and you got to be consistent with that. And
Hmm.
by that, I mean, you can't this week be solving, hey, I'm going to be helping people who want to, write a book. And then next week, I'm going to be helping people who want to invest in crypto. Yeah,
Right.
okay, stop. No,
Yeah.
you need to get very consistent with, hey, this is who I help. These are the people that I serve. These are the problems that I'm uniquely capable of solving. So people know, hey, if you have this problem, go to Chris.
Yeah.
That's your guy.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say that's the thing, right? It's building your brand really because you become the person that they think about or and others think about when they hear somebody else having that problem.
Correct. So you're doing that. You're getting very clear on that, and you're getting very clear on what is truly holding them back. Because here's the thing: most people, when they're stuck, think the reason that they're stuck is they think one thing is holding them back. They think one thing is their problem, when in reality it's something else.
Mm.
And that's why they remain stuck, is they're not solving for the correct problem.
Mm.
And I've experienced this so many times in my life where I've watched a webinar, watched a video, and I'm sitting there going, and all of a sudden there's this light bulb moment that goes off in my mind. I went, holy smokes, I've been trying to solve this problem wrong.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I realized I've been approaching this from completely the wrong direction. And if I
Mhm.
came at it from this angle instead of that angle, it would work.
Yeah.
And so this is the problem, is that we have the reason people still have problems is they have incorrect beliefs about their problem.
Mhm.
If they had correct beliefs about their problem, they wouldn't have the problem anymore.
Yeah.
But because they're believing the wrong things and because they're believing things that aren't true, they're stuck. They're stuck in a spot where they can't move forward with their goals. They're facing a problem that they can't get rid of. So you need to understand why they're truly stuck, because that's going to be the solution that you're going to offer them. Because hey, why you're really stuck, that's the thing that I have to do for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So if this is your problem, I know, Chris, ultimately I have to take you through these steps.
Yeah.
Because this is what it's going to take for you to be able to be successful.
Well, it
But
reminds me of thinking about like a doctor. When you go to a doctor's appointment because you're not feeling well, the symptoms are the symptoms, but they have to they ask you a series of questions. They're trying to get beneath the symptoms, right? To understand what's the true cause. And as the patient, you think it's this because you think the symptom is the problem, but the symptom is the symptom of a
right,
greater issue.
right,
And so
right,
I think that's what we're saying here, right? Is whatever your coaching, expertise is, your clients are going to have a surface level understanding or thought about what their problem is, but you're going to know it's really a layer or two or three below that, even that is really what's holding them back. And you're the one that can help identify that for them.
correct. And one of the things then that you have to understand is, so your solution, the things that you're going to do for them is the truth. You're
Mhm.
going to have to work with them. Like you go to the doctor and say, oh, my arm hurts. Well, the reason your arm hurts is because you have another issue going on.
Right.
Like, we're actually going to work on the source issue, but you're coming in because your arm hurts,
Right.
But when you're doing your marketing, what your marketing has to speak to is the thing that they think is holding them back.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because if you talk about what's truly holding them back in in your marketing, they're not going to listen to you because yeah, that's
Right.
not the problem. And you go, yeah, it is.
Right.
You don't
Even
realize
if
it's
you
the
know
problem.
there's a problem, that you have to get to them first
Right.
at where they are, right?
So you have to speak to what they believe is their problem and talk about that, and
Mhm.
speak to them in the lane that they're living in right now, even if it's the wrong lane.
Mhm.
So you have to speak to them there. And then when you work with them, you'll show that this is what we actually need to do to get you a solution.
Yeah.
So you define that problem really clearly and you understand it very clearly, and you work with it in your service and in your marketing. From there, you have to clarify your solution. Like, so what are you going to do for them?
Mhm.
What exactly is your solution? What is the thing that you're going to provide to them? What
Mhm.
is it going to take for them to get the result that they want? And how are you going to do it in such a way that's unique?
Yeah.
How are you going to do it in such a way that's different from what other people are doing? Because ultimately, if you're just providing the exact same thing that everyone else is doing, then everyone's like, well, it's like going in and, buying gas for your car.
Right.
I don't care where I get it from. I just want to know who's the cheapest.
Right.
And so you have to show why you are really uniquely capable and qualified to get a result, and why you're better at it than other people.
Mhm.
Like, this is what we're going to do. And when I do this, people get amazing results.
Yeah.
People have amazing life transformation, and because of the things that I take them through. And I do things that other people just don't do. And as a result, people are getting significantly better experiences and significantly better results. And then they go, oh, that's why I should listen to you.
Yeah.
That's why I should work with you and hire you, because you are a better option than the other options.
Mhm.
So you have to get that really, really clear. So now you have the problem, and you know how you're going to solve it. Now we have to attract people to us, right? Now we have to go out and we have to actually attract those people to our solution. So inevitably, what it is you have to find something that you can give away for free.
Mm.
What are you going to put out there? It's just like going fishing. I've used this analogy many times, but if you can fish, you can market. That's kind of you know all the steps if you've gone fishing. So how do you attract a fish? Well, you put something on a hook and you cast it out in front of where the fish are. Same thing in marketing. Something that would be attractive to the fish is what they're going to bite on. If you put the wrong kind of, bait on that hook, they're not going to be interested. If you're fishing in the wrong location, they're not going to be interested. So the same thing applies here, is you have to go out, you have to fish where your customers are. So you got to know where they are, you got to know where they're located online, and then you got to come up with something that's very attractive to them. And that could be any number of things. It could be a training that you're going to do. You could do a workshop or a training and say, hey, I'm going to do this workshop and training, and we're going to talk about these things, and hey, hop on and we'll teach you these things. And they're going to go, great, that's perfect, that's exactly what I need. And so they're going to want to say, yeah, I'll do that. I want to hear what you have to say about this, because that's speaking to exactly what I need. Or you come up with an ebook, or you come up with a short video series that you can sell, something that you can use to bring people in. You got to create something out there that would be very valuable to them, that your audience is going to say, hey, I'd like to know more, I'd like that. And in exchange, they give you like their name and email address to get that. So you're trading a free training, a free resource, a free service for their contact information. So that's the initial thing, because we got to create connection points first.
Yeah.
You got to do that before you can do anything else. Then you got to promote your giveaway. That's step 4. You got to go out there and you got to really push it out there. So you got to promote it. You got to promote it on social media. You got to advertise. You got to get this thing out there so people know about it. Because again, there's a million trainings happening all the time.
Right.
There's a million things going on all the time. You got to get yours out there in front of your audience so they see it. Again, it's just one of those where you got to be seen for them to know. And it's not anything, people say, well, I did it and I didn't really get many people to show up. Well, how many people did you get it in front of?
Yeah.
At some point, it's very simple. You got to get your message in front of people if they're going to see it.
Yeah.
Because people won't sign up for something they don't know about.
Well, that, and like you said, you got to make sure that and if you're not getting people right, also evaluate, are you putting it in the right place? Because sometimes it's the right thing, the right bait, but it's for the wrong audience. And so really testing this and understanding your market. And, if there's something that you're trying to reach business executives, but you're focused on TikTok, guess what? You're probably not going to reach them versus LinkedIn, or if you're trying to help moms of young preschoolers, right? You need to find them. They may be on TikTok, they may be on Instagram, or Facebook. They're probably not on LinkedIn. So you have to think about, once again, where are your people? And David, honestly, this is one of those things I know I had to learn early on, was like, you just think that you just throw everything out everywhere. But really, when you think about where are my people, it changes the game, and it really helps you with your time, energy, and your own attention and resources when you actually go to, a singular source or a few targeted sources versus trying to just go everywhere, because trying to keep up with social media and all platforms is like, it'll wear you out.
Right. Absolutely. And that gets, and that's part of the problem with social media, is that people think, well, I see so-and-so, he's on every platform, I have to be on every platform then too. When you're first starting out, no.
Yeah.
You have to be on the platforms that matter. The guys that are on every platform are trying to build these mega brands. They're trying to reach beyond into all these other areas. What you're trying to do is you're trying to find your people.
Yeah.
So you need to do what Chris said, is like, you got to know where your people are and just go there. Don't try and be on every platform. Don't try and be on all the different things. Just go where your people are. And focus there and get your message out there so they know about you. Like, oh, what's Chris doing? That actually looks good. I'm going to go check that out. Like, okay, you put it in front of them. You laid it out in front of them so they can see it. So once you do that, and then you start promoting, you get people signed up. And for example, let's say we're doing a workshop or a training that we're putting out there. And so people hop on and they watch your training, and in your training, you're teaching them certain things. But the point of the training is to show them what they really need to get a solution. That's ultimately, we talked about before, they think they know what the problem is,
right? But
they're talking about the solution. Your job of your training is to say, ultimately, this is actually what you need to do to solve the problem. And guess what? I'm specifically gifted and set up to do just that very thing.
Yeah.
So many times, and this is a thing that I think people stumble on a lot, is when they do these workshops and trainings, they think they need to teach 27 things. They think this needs to be an educational process where, oh, like I'm coming in for a lecture and I need to learn all this stuff and
And
all
the
I
more
come away.
information I give, the better, right? Is the
Yeah,
thinking.
no. The only point that we're trying to do in this workshop or training is we're trying to create an epiphany. That's what we're trying to create. We're trying to create that epiphany. So where I talked about before, where you have like I'm thinking my problem is this, and I think the reason I have a problem is this. So I'm trying to solve the problem over here, and you're never getting a solution. But you and I know that you're never going to get a solution over there.
Right.
So the purpose of this workshop and training is to say, no, the reason you're never getting a solution is you're approaching it wrong. This is what you need to do to get a solution. And once you do that, once you get that solution figured out and you realize, oh, I need to focus over here.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how do I do that? Well, you know what? It's funny you ask, because I help people do that very thing.
Yeah.
And if you would be interested in learning more about how this can work, at the bottom of this, at the bottom of this, or send them to a URL or whatever and say, here's a link to fill out an application. And you fill out an application, you answer some simple questions. So your questions need to be designed to ask things that are like, hey, that really going to clarify, don't make this 20 questions.
Right. You got to keep it short.
You got to keep it short so that people aren't like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be here for an hour answering all these things. I give up. No, make it simple enough and short enough that they'll easily complete it. But you also want to use this as a filter. Okay. If people come in and they're like, and so one of the questions you need to ask is, do you have money to invest in yourself? And then it needs to be one of those questions. And like, why would you want to do this? So that their motivation is in line with what you're going to do.
Yeah.
Because if their motivation is pointed in the wrong direction, and you're trying to lead them to do one thing, but their motivation and reason for doing it is going in a completely different direction, you're like, yeah, I'm not the coach for you.
Right.
And I know before we even get on a call, I am not the coach for you. So what happens is you do these things. You go out and you go on this training, and your primary purpose on this training is, how do I get you to fill out an application? That's my goal. I'm not selling a thing. All I'm doing is, hey, if you would like to learn how I can do this, help you do this, how I can help do this for you and help you achieve this goal, all you got to do is fill out an application. We'll review all the applications. And then when we do, we'll get back to you. And, if we think you might be a good fit to work with us, we'll reach out to you and we'll schedule a time where we can chat.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is how you're now bringing people in. You're marketing it. You're showcasing a training that people are going to say, that's interesting. And they're going to be excited watching that training because they just had an epiphany moment. They're going, oh my word, I'm trying to do the wrong thing.
Yeah.
If I actually solve this. So that's where your training has to be really powerful and really clean. You don't teach too much. You just teach that one simple thing where you're showing them, no, this is what it needs to be. You need to be doing this. And if you do these things, now you're able to be successful.
Well, I equate this to trying to just kind of make a consumer comparison of something we might be familiar with, right? So maybe you have, it's the seasons are changing. All of a sudden you start seeing ants or bugs coming into your house. You're not sure where the source is. You go to the store, you try to get the little ant traps or whatever, and nothing's working. So what do you do then? You start to look for, another solution. You'd look for even an exterminator to come out and give you like an estimate and look at what's going on, because they know, they're professionals, right? They know what's going on. You think you're solving the problem with these little, cheap things that you get at the hardware store, but they're not working. Right. Versus, and I had this happen to me, and this is why it kind of came to my mind, was I was outside doing some yard work one day back in the spring, I think. And I had a guy, he was one of those guys that just walked up and down the street trying to sell their exterminator services. and he had this sheet of all these bugs, and he's like, "You seen any of these?" And I literally said, "No, I had," because we had no issues. Like we were not dealing with any problem. But he was trying to convince me that that we have bug problems in our house that we didn't have. And I said, "Look, I appreciate the fact that you're out here, talking to people, but I don't need your services." Right? He wasn't trying to be helpful. He was trying to force his way on me. Whereas the other side of it is, if I had a problem and I reached out to
Right.
somebody and said, "Hey, can you come and take a look? Because I'm not having luck with my problem." And
Right.
they come out and say, "Well, here's what's going on. Out by your mulch is doing this, or maybe your foundation has a crack or something. There's something going on that's letting these things in." It's a different game, right? Versus just trying to slam an offer down somebody's face.
Right. And that's it. Exactly. So even when you're having these calls with people, you're not having calls with people who have no interest in doing what you're doing. Like, oh, okay, I don't need. No, you're talking to people who are very interested and who are leaning
Right.
in.
Yeah.
These people are saying, "Yeah, I would like to know more about how you can help me.
Yeah.
If this makes sense, and if this, is a fit." So when you do this, you're doing your primary thing is to attract the people that are truly interested in doing what you're going to offer. So you're outlining the basics in your presentation, outlining the basics of what you can do for people to help them succeed. Okay, so when you do that, you're saying, "Great, this is how you will get a solution.
Hmm.
These are the things you need to do, and I can help you. And if you're interested in learning more, fill out an application, and then
Yeah.
we'll talk." And so again, your filter needs to be clean, so like, hey, even if this person is very much interested in what I do, if they have no money,
Right.
there's no point in us talking.
And no urgency, no
Right,
motivation. You mentioned before,
right,
like it's
right,
it's a problem, but it's not really a big deal to me. So I'm not going to really be
right,
motivated to do anything. I mean, I've had plenty of those types of people. It's like,
right,
how badly do you want this fixed? You know?
right. And that is huge. And so the weightiness of the problem is a big, big thing.
Hmm.
If and that should be one of your questions is like, how important is it for you to get this solved?
Right.
Because we've all worked with clients who get on calls and they don't do anything and nothing's getting happening, and you're getting frustrated because you're like, "I'm trying to help you."
Right.
And
I
you're
can't be
like,
more invested in this than you are. Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I cannot care more than you do to get this problem solved because this is a problem in your life, not mine.
Mhm.
And if you don't really care about getting it solved, then we're going nowhere fast.
Right.
And so these are the questions that you need to be asking in that
Yeah.
application. And then when you get on a call with them, you really should already have that filter refined well enough so that the people you're talking to are really solid candidates.
Right.
These should be really solid, really close to yes people.
Yeah.
I mean, these should not be people that you are like, "Well, I don't know if I'm a fit or not." No, you should. If you don't think they're a fit, then don't invite them on a call.
Right. Yeah.
So you go through all the applications, you look at all the ones that are a fit, and then you send them an email invite and say, here's a link to get on it, schedule a call with me. And you
Mhm.
can use Calendly or some other call scheduling service. There's a number of them out there.
Right.
And hop on a call with me, and we spend 30 minutes and we go through and I get to know you a little bit. I get to understand, and get them on a call. You get to spend a couple minutes getting to know them. You get to really clarify why they're considering working with you, like
Mhm.
why is it? And then you get to talk to them about exactly how this could look and how it could work. And then if they're like, "Yeah, this sounds amazing, this sounds great," okay, here's how you sign up and here's how
Yeah.
you pay to get started.
Yeah.
And it really can be that simple of a process.
Yeah.
But the challenge is always the nuance, right,
Right.
Chris? It's always what we did is like the blitzkrieg version of doing this here in the last few minutes.
Right.
The actual details of getting everything correct and lined
Sure.
up, that's where the challenge is, and that's why how we coach people and help people.
Right. Make sure
uh,
these steps are put
right,
together in the right way so that
right,
whether it's your
and make
messaging and I mean all these things have their own development process, right?
right, and you have to have that messaging just right. And this is what I was talking about earlier with knowing your problem. Like if you're not speaking to the exact problem that they're struggling with, they're not going to listen to you, and they're not going to be interested in even hopping on your free training. They're not even going to want to hear it because that doesn't interest me. That's not what I need.
Yeah. Well, like,
So,
if you did like how to become a health coach and, and you're pushing it out in front of people who don't want to be health coaches, guess what? You're not going to get a response. But if you
right.
have an audience that's something that they're passionate about health and wellness, and they want to help people be healthier, and all of a sudden you say how to build, how to develop your own health coaching business over the next 60 days or something, and that's your webinar, like people are going to be like, wow, and I can actually develop something over the next couple months that I can actually help people. I mean, once again, it's an attractive offer on the front end for that free training. But what's going to happen when they get there, right? They're going to be like, well, I understand. I see that there's steps that I can go work through, but then it's like, once again, it's the how, right? It's now I know what I need to do, but how do I actually turn that knowledge into, effective, profitable business? And that's where so many people get stuck, right? I mean, that's what we see all the time. I mean, David, even on an offline side of things, we talk, a lot of this is online, really what we're talking about today. But a couple weeks ago, I spoke at a conference and I was speaking to some senior leaders. And then in my presentation, at the end, I said, if you'd like to have a free strategy call with me to talk about your challenges and the things with your people, I have a QR code and a web page for them to just, fill out that form. And, guess what? I have some calls scheduled to talk to those executives, because one of them in particular, she says, I really need help developing myself and my team. And so now we're going to talk about what does that look like that I can help her. That was a very simple process. It was the same thing, right? It was just in an in-person live setting in a ballroom at a hotel versus on a webinar, but it's the same process.
Right. And so we'll just transition into it. If you are a person who like, wow, I'd really like to learn how to do this well.
Right.
Because the devil is in the details on a lot of this. How do I create that presentation? How do I position it? How do I market it? How do I get all those things going so I do get leads, so I do get people signing up? Yeah. How do I do all these things? And part of this really becomes, in how the details and the nuances of how you put it all together. Once you do that and it's going well, okay, now we got something. Now we got something cooking, and now we got something that we can, get going with. And so if you'd like to learn how to do that, that's what we do in Design, Launch, Grow. That's how, so this is how you can do it. So again, rather than just endlessly pounding, the knocking on the doors of the exact same people, hey, would you like me to coach you? And they're all like, you've asked me this 12 times. The answer is still no. Rather than doing that, if you want to process, this is how you can do it. I mean, this is how in our last business, we built a multi-million-dollar a year coaching business by doing this very process that we just outlined. So if you'd like to learn how to do that, if you'd like to learn those steps, we'd be happy to work with you in Design, Launch, Grow to show you exactly how we do it.
Absolutely. So folks, if that is interesting to you, if you're saying, hey, I do need that kind of help, I understand what you're talking about, that these are the things that we need to do to be successful, but I'm not sure how to get my messaging right. I'm not sure where to find my people. I'm not sure, what kind of a lead generator to get them interested. All those questions that you may have in your mind, check out designlaunchgrow.com, because that's where, you can connect with us, and we can help you with all this with our weekly coaching calls and our training vault of resources, and a supportive community with a lot of people that are doing this too, that are having their own successes that you can learn from as you hear about what they're doing, because that's a big part of this too. The community, seeing people win in a community and getting ideas from what they're doing for some of your processes is huge sometimes. So check out designlaunchgrow.com, and we'd love to help you out. So until next time, and bring our next topic to you next time, we will see you then.